where the labor code draft was discussed first time. The honorable member of parliaments have introduced this, and they have advised that our country needs a reform in entire labor law. As of now, we all are aware that throughout the country there are n number of laws and n number of acts, rules, and forms. Every state is having their own rules, their own forms, and their own process and protocol that a company need to follow. The major challenge comes for those companies who are doing their business in different state, in different zone, and the burden of compliance for them is quite huge in comparison to those establishment, those factories, which has limited itself at one zone or at one location only. So looking after such challenges and bringing India for better in ease of business, we have decided that let's have a reform in labor law. And instead of having 44 different acts, let's divide into 4 different codes. First code is code on wage, second code is code on social security, then another code is on industrial safety, and the last one is on IACT. So these are basically 4 different codes. So here you can observe that how this code has come in picture. The journey of this code code on wage was not easy. It didn't happen in a jiffy. There was a period of these conversations. Different committee have established to discuss that what you want to cover, what you don't want to cover. Very beginning from 2015 onwards, the code had started its journey and got some structure on paper. Later on, from there, it moved ahead and went to the different both Parliament, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Respectively, it got passed. And on 8 August 2019, the bill got assent from our Honorable President of India, Mr. Ram Nath Kovind. So last year only, this code, which was in the form of bill, has become the act. Before that, it was bill. Now it has become act. So we all are aware that act is there, and when act is there, the another part of act is rules, regulations, schemes, process law, protocols, whatever things we call it, and the forms or registered returns which we need to do. So any act in the state does not come without rules and regulations. So the purpose of this entire labor law code is to simplifications, rationalizations, and consolidate all those different acts under one umbrella. To begin with, on 8 August, as the Honorable President has given it assent and introduced code on wage. Under this code on wage, this code subsumes 4 different acts in our country. Number 1 is Minimum Wage Act. Number 2 is Payment of Wage Act. Number 3 is Payment of Bonus Act. And number 4 is Equal Remuneration Act. So if you see, in all different states in our country, these are the 4 major acts which deal with the wage. However, there are other acts also which deal with the wage, but these are the 4 which the committee have decided to subsume by this code. Now, the best part, if I have to read Minimum Wage Act, there is almost around 40 different sections. If I have to read and learn Payment of Wage Act, there is similarly 30-40 sections, and so on for other 2 acts. So in sum total, there are around 200 to 300, 400 different sections that we need to memorize or we need to be familiar with. But while the introduction of this code, the ease for us has come across that now there is only 68 sections which is been distributed by 9 different chapters. So the act of minimum wage, payment of wage, bonus, equal remunerations are now simplified and rationalized into 9 different chapters, summing total of 68 or 69 total sections. Now the first most question which we all are seeing throughout the country, we all are facing, that by when this act will become applicable. A very genuine question. I believe many of my colleagues have faced this question while discussing with their respective clients or having any kind of discussion with our individual team members. The question of when is still unanswered. It is unanswered because till today, the government of India has not given the respective notification to speak that when itself become applicable. Yes, on 8 August, we have received the assent copy and the bill become act. But the applicability of the act is still under question. It is unanswered. Giving you, for example, in Payment of Gratuity Act, Section 4A, it speaks about compulsory insurance. For the other state, they may accept, for any state may accept this new provision under Payment of Gratuity Act and say, okay, I want to introduce this provision section 4A in my state. But similarly, in the state of Maharashtra, this particular section has not yet been notified by the state government. That is why, if any act is coming in picture, it need to be notified by the respective jurisdictions, authority, or the state government. Either it shall be notified by central, and parallelly it shall be notified by the state. However, the far picture is that this act is not having its defined rule as of now, approved rules. That is also the another reason why this act is still not become applicable throughout the country. Now another question come across, to whom this act will become applicable. Let's say tomorrow Government of India have given the notice, now from 15th of August this act will become applicable. And who shall be affected from this act? So as looking after the act, it speaks all the establishments, all the factories, where the provision of this code shall apply, and respective of any categories of worker or employees who are working. For example, under Payment of Wage Act, Section 1, Subsection 6, it speaks only for those employees who are drawing wage lesser than 24,000. They will cover under Payment of Wage Act. However, the code is failed to express similar understanding for worker. Parallelly, for other definitions also, for other act also, there is a category which is defined, that to whom Minimum Wage Act shall be applicable, to whom Payment of Bonus Act shall be applicable, to whom Employment Exchange or other things shall be applicable. But in this ground, the code had not discriminated. It has said straight away it shall be applicable to all those persons who are working in the establishment. So this example already I have given while talking with you, that how Payment of Bonus Act or how Payment of Wage Act has discriminated the worker by the power of its act, where they have defined that who all shall be applicable or covered by this act, whereas the code will not discriminate in the same manner where those acts have done in the past. It may do, but in a different manner. That will notify in coming days. Now, another thing that we need to learn about a different definition of which is coming under the code. As I said, that if I have to learn these all 4 different acts separately, the sum total of definitions will also go around 200 plus. But by virtue of this new code, there is only 26 definition in the code. You can observe in this small pictorial presentation where I have tried to present for you that what are those definitions. Accounting year, advisory board, agriculture income, establishment, cooperative society, employer, employees, company. So these are the 26 definitions which this code has defined. This code has given an enough effort for certain definition specifically. But in a nutshell, if I have to say, somewhere I observed that this code has failed to define what is principal employer. Whereas we can observe this code had defined contractor word in its chapters, in its definition section 2. But the code has completely failed to define what is principal employer. So To understand the meaning of principal employer, we need to still be focused and always have to refer the Principal Act of Contract Labor Act of those respective state. We cannot link that definition with the current code. Another best part this code have done, that this code has defined worker and employee separately. As of now, there used to be always a discussion, a dialogues in the industry that who is worker, who is employee, who is official staff, who is corporate staff, and so on. But here, if you went through the books, if you read out the definition of employee or the definition of worker, you will observe a very lucid definition presented. The Act has defined that any person who employs directly or through any person on or on his behalf or on by any other person's behalf or one or more employees in that establishment who are not apprentice, where an agreement is expressed or not expressed, can be termed as an employee. In a very simple word, if I have to put it, that any person apart from apprentice who are employed for certain wage, for doing certain skill, unskilled, semi-skill, manual, technical, operational, managerial, or administrative activity, and who is hired by the company or who has been rewarded by the company, where the terms of employment is been expressed very clearly, are known as employee under this act. So this is very much clear now for us that who all are employee under this code. Similarly, the code has also put an effort to express the meaning of worker, which is under section 2 subsection Z of the act. So while referring to that definition, we may observe a very thin line of difference, which is very much challenging, as the code has itself defined worker definition, which is similarly somewhere related to the earlier definition of employees. In this definition of worker, also the code has excluded all those persons who are hired as an apprentice. It means very clear that apprentice under Code on Wage 2019 can neither be an employee nor it can be a worker. As an employee, we are understanding that anybody who is working technical, semi-technical, skill, unskilled work, they will call as employee. Similarly, worker is also defined that any person apart from apprentice who is being employed in the industry, in the company, for doing any manual activity, any clerical activity, any administrative roles, clericals, supervisor role, operational roles, shall be deemed as a worker. Now, definitely you might be confused, and where is the difference between the employee definition and the worker definition? As I rightly said, the difference is very thin. It's not easy to identify, but if you look after the definition word by word, you will identify some difference. For example, the word manager is been missing in the definition of worker, but it presents in the definition of employee. As I said earlier, that manager is also included. So that is one. Sorry, that is one difference. Anyone who is working as a journalist, which is defined under a journalist act, that who is journalist. Like for example, for company, I am an employee, whereas for a journalism company, there are certain persons who are known as journalists, referring to section 2F of the Working Journalist and Other Newspaper Employees Act. They shall be also included under the definition of worker, but they are not been introduced as an employee definition under this code. Any promotional activities, sales promotional activities which are done by MR peoples are also termed as worker, but they are not worker. They are not employees under this code. So this is how we can differentiate as per this code who is an employee, who is an worker. There might be a scenario where we will observe a same person can be defined as a worker and same person can also be defined as an employee depending on the nature of work that a person is doing in that company. I believe the provision of worker and the provision of employee is now more lucid to all my team members. The another best part that this code have done is that they successfully attempt to define wage and minimum wage together. We refer to any act till today, none of the act was succeeded to explain what is minimum wage. Even the act, Minimum Wage Act itself had failed to define what is minimum wage. However, in this code, this minimum wage has been expressed. Even it has got a separate section number 6 that what is minimum wage. So if any one of us want to actually understand the provision of Minimum Wage Act or how it is different from the concept of wage and how it is defined as in separately, you can refer to section 6 of the act. While referring to the definition, you will see that this is what actually asks in that definition also, that kindly refer to the section 6. However, when we look after the definition of wage, we need to look after the very big picture. Because my friend, the story of wage is not easy to understand. Till date, many intellectuals in our country are failing to actually understand the word wage itself, or maybe still the proper elucidation of this specific word is missing somewhere. If we refer section 2H of Minimum Wage Act, the principal act of wage, where normally we refer to look after the understanding of wage, we see these points which I have mentioned in my slide. All remuneration, whether by wage or whether by way of salaries, allowances, or other by expressed in terms of money or capable of being so expressed, which would, if the terms of employment expressed implied were fulfilled, be payable to a person employed in respect of his employment or work done in such employment, and also included basic DA. While looking after this paragraph, we may get the understanding of wage definition as per the dictionary. But are we able to understand the actual hidden meaning of this wage? It's really challenging for us to understand and to express. In a layman language, we understand that wage is something which is the sum total of basic wage and DA which a respective state raise. For example, the state of Maharashtra provide two different notifications under Minimum Wage Act. One is notification of a basic wage, and another one is notification of DA. For Maharashtra, DA revised every 6 months. But some of the state where DA may revise every monthly, some of the state DA may revise annually, whereas we also observe in some of the state DA sometimes get delayed by couple of years to 5 years. Or any given scenario, but the industry understand wage means sum of basic plus DA. So allow me to remove this understanding. From there onwards, we must know that only sum of basic and DA is not wage. The sum of all those earning component that an employee earned in his salary as a salary for which he have done work, for which that employee has been hired as per the terms of employment, that earning is called as wage. So for example, Rahul is working under team lease. Now he is getting salary which have 5 different earning components: basic, DA, HRA, traveling allowances, education allowances. 5 different allowances. Normally, people used to say that basic plus DA must be equivalent to the notification rate to comply the concept of wage under Section 2H. But the irony is that this is partially true. Actually, wage means the sum of all those earning components. Means it shall not be limited to basic and DA. The other earning component like HRA, like TA, DA, your education allowance, entertainment allowances, whatever allowances which are coming as an earning part, for which terms of employment is expressed very clearly, which an employee is earning because of certain work he is doing in that company. That is called as wage. For example, in the month of July, the company have introduced that if anybody will give a referral candidate, the company will give reward to that employee. And my colleague Faisal have given 5 resume to the HR, and 1 resume gets selected, and for that my colleague will receive and reward from the company as a referral bonus. Now this referral bonus is not received for the work he is doing on a regular basis or for which he has been absorbed by the company, for which he has been hired by the company. This is an additional support that he have given and for which company have provided a reward. So such reward or such bonus, such incentive, which is not part of our regular work in nature, which we receive as an earning component as and when it occurs, such earning component can never be considered as a wage. So in a nutshell, if I have to say again, the sum of all the earning component is called as wage. The another question which I have seen in industry, which is somewhere related to Minimum Wage Act, the concept of minimum wage and the wage concept. The very well question that can we split the notification rate into different components and still we remain compliant? So yes, we can do that. The Honorable Supreme Court of India has given its judgment in different cases pertaining to this. Most recent cases in last year, which you may go and check out. You may observe case related to Faridabad Association versus state of Punjab and Haryana, where the Supreme Court have cleared that yes, the notification rate can be split into different components. However, we have to assure that the sum total shall never be on any given scenario less than the sum of notification amount. So in slide, you may see that clearly it is mentioned basic, DA and retaining allowance. Now, why I have given so many efforts to explain you earning component concept, wage concept, and minimum wage splitting concept? Because there is a huge amount of ambiguity in the industry, in the law book to understand. The law has been prescribed. Now we have to understand. That is our duty. Law will not explain you. They will only speak and we have to understand. The law have given the word dearness allowances. The word DA allowance has a great meaning. Sorry, I'm on a session. Yes, I'm on a call. Sure. So the word DA has a very depth meaning, which we need to understand. Until and unless we don't understand the word DA, we will always get confused that how to assume wage under code or under any other act. So DA is related to cost to living, consumer price index. So this consumer price index keeps on changing. That is why every state keeps on revising their DA at a fixed frequency. As a consultant, as a legal advisor, we only come to know or we are normally familiar by the word minimum wage. But I believe many of us may get surprised that there are also different kind of wage which is been prescribed in Constitution of India, but unfortunately not has taken an act form. There is a fair wage concept, there is a living wage concept, and there is a starvation wage concept. Minimum wage, we all understand. Sum of basic plus DA is known as minimum wage. Living wage is where I get a better provisions. By Minimum Wage Act, I can have roti, kapra, and makan, means food, shelter, and clothing. That I can have with the Minimum Wage Act. By living wage, we can have the luxurious food, luxurious clothes, and luxurious housing facilities. By fair wage, which is somewhere between minimum and living wage. And this has been prescribed. The last word is starvation wage, which is the worst part of all the wage. Starvation means a kind of hungriness. Means I'm paying you, but I'm not paying you rightly. Means starvations remain as it is. Luckily, in our country, starvations does not occur on paper. But looking after the amount of minimum wage throughout the country, we may sadly say that yes, some of the minimum wage amount throughout the country may near to the starvation wage. However, in some of the states like Delhi, Maharashtra, who all are paying very nicely, they may come or termed as a fair wage or living wage. Well, for living wage, definitely somebody have to earn a hefty amount. like a company CEO or somebody who is in manager capacity, having a good amount, so they can have a good food, good clothing and shelter. That is why their wage is termed as a living wage. So the employees, why I'm saying this, living wage and fair wage? Because the employees who are earning living wage, they are above the compliance ambit of Minimum Wage Act. And parallelly, this may happen for the code also. Till now, it is silent, but the code base, if you refer to the committee report of 700 page, you may see that these things is been prescribed. The government has come across with the first question, how to define minimum wage for any zone. For that, this definitions is been prescribed. It is said that the wage shall be sufficient enough to cover 3 units of a family, to cover 22,700 calorie food of an individual family member, to cover at least 10% of his housing cost, rent. With these sums, any state, any government, any body who are deciding the minimum wage bring the conclusion. However, some of the state may use other ingredients also to conclude that. You all can see this graph which is been presented from the Labor Ministry itself, which express the different kind of number of scheduled employment and the range of wage rates. The minimum wage for the Delhi is somewhere 538 to 659. It may be different at current date as the data refers from backdated. Whereas for Assam, you may see it is 244, Rajasthan 213, and the number of scheduled employment for Uttar Pradesh, the scheduled employment is total 80. In Assam, it is 105. So you can see there is a variation in the not only to the wage amount, but also in the number of scheduled employment. So looking after this code, the code have expressed very clearly that no employer shall pay to any employee wage less than the minimum rate of wage which is notified by the appropriate government. And all the wage which that appropriate government shall fix, they will only be able to fix under 2 different pattern. One is as a time-based work frame, means either you pay weekly, monthly or daily wage, or by the means of piece rated work. Means if I will produce 1 mobile in a day, I will get payment for 1 mobile. If I will produce 2 mobile in a day, I will get for 2 payment for 2 mobile. It is completely based on the production of a worker. As I already tried to explain you earlier, the concept of minimum wage, which is the sum total of all the earning components, and these earning components are coming from this theory. The sum of basic rate wage, the cost of living, and the cash value of consumption, if any. And already, as I explained you, how that this different appropriate government fix minimum wage rate of that state or their zones is been prescribed here. This is the important initial ingredient that any appropriate government have to adopt. This concept is not coming to, is not something new. This is an age-old concept from 19 around when this second national conference has taken place. And in 1992, Supreme Court judgment, which is one of the very famous judgment, where minimum wage calculation methodology were expressed by the Supreme Court. In that also, this was prescribed. And the last point, that the provision of minimum wage has expressed that this minimum wage shall not be paid less than the floor wage rate. For example, now this floor wage is a new wage, new concept for everybody in the industry. As of now, we all were not aware of what is floor wage. But just to make you understand, floor wage is a kind of wage which shall be defined by the central body of the code, that this shall be the XYZ amount any of the state need to be maintained up to date. In case if the state fails to maintain minimum floor wage, even though they released the notification which amount is less than the floor wage also, then the responsibility of the employer is to assure that whatever that employer is paying must be more than floor wage, number one. And in the case, alternate case, if minimum wage is more than floor wage, then he has to be either equal to or more than the minimum wage. But on any given scenario, it shall never be less than the floor wage. The another provision under this code which speaks about the minimum wage is regarding the normal working hours. If we refer to the section 6, here it has been very clearly expressed, the code, that the amount of time that an individual work, he shall be getting wage accordingly. So wage of employee who work less than the normal working hours, his wage shall get reduced by default. As of now, this provision was also somewhere not clearly mentioned. If we refer to the IT Act, where it has been expressed, suppose an employee work who is having a normal working hour of 8 hours, but he worked for 7 hours also, then also he is liable for an 8 working hours. But here, this code has given another version, a more lucid version, that you work and you will get your pay. Means in a different way, if I have to say, no work, no pay. If you work, you will get your pay. That is what, in a very simple way, this provision under section 10 has been expressed. Now, this is a very interesting thing which I'm right now going to discuss with you all. Wages for 2 or more class of work. So before to reach out to class of work, we need to understand that there are different kind of class of work. For example, in CPO department, somebody is a manager, somebody is assistant manager, somebody is an AGM. Okay, somebody might be a country head. Somebody is working clerical labor, somebody is working as manager position. So these all are the class, these all are the schedules, these all are a different kind of employment, nature of employment in a company. If we refer section 2 of this act, there is a magical word which is related to the nature of work. So here nature of work is also been prescribed. Means we need to refer section 2 subsection V of this act, which express about same work need to be remunerated similarly. So suppose a company hired 2 candidates. One is male, another one is female. And both are doing same work. Then they both need to remunerate also similarly. Company cannot discriminate under such ground of sex or gender or color, religion, language, or the favorism of an individual. These are the jargons where Article 14 and the Constitution of India has spoken. No discrimination can be done. Another thing, suppose I am working as a field executive in a company and I am earning rupees 10,000 rupees per month. My supervisor is going on leave and he said, Rahul, for next 15 days, please supervise the entire activity and I'm putting the command under your head. As a junior fellow, I accept the proposal and I did the role. After 15 days, my supervisor resumed back to his normal work and I also resumed back to my normal work as a field executive. Here is the actual challenge, what happened next. At the end of the month, I received my salary. And I received my salary for the entire 30 days as per my terms of employment, which is for the field executive. But the reality is that in last 15 days, I have also worked as a supervisor. Then I am liable for such payment also. Since I am aware about this provision, I can raise the voice against the management that boss, for 15 days I accept I have worked as a field executive, but for next 15 days I have worked as a supervisor. Thus, I am legally eligible to claim wage under the capacity of supervisor as the supervisor wage is prescribed. Means in this given scenario, employee will earn the wage of two different class. And luckily, this time, this code had given that expression in this entire chapter. If you refer, wage for two or more class of worker shall be remunerated accordingly. Means where an employee does two or more classes of worker, means suppose a person is working as a field executive, he is working after some time is working as a supervisor, for some time he is working as a manager, he must get wage accordingly. The employer shall pay to such employee in respect of the time. Means 15 days you have worked for as a supervisor, 10 days you work as a field executive, 5 days you have worked as a manager. Employer must pay in that ratio only. Please note it down. This is one of the critical things which is been completely ignored throughout the country. Till date, in my last 10 years of experience, I have never observed that any company is putting an effort to comply this provision. And the concept of this provision is coming all over from the Equal Remuneration Act in this code. Normally, for an Equal Remuneration Act, we understand that this act speak about not to discriminate between the genders. But this act is getting its soul from Article 14. Thus, this act completely doesn't stand for any kind of discrimination. Overtime wage shall be double the normal rate of wage. Earlier, we used to study that overtime shall be double the ordinary rate of wage. In this code, it is been termed as twice the normal rate of wage. Now, to understand the difference between twice the ordinary rate of wage and the normal rate of wage is the actual challenge, because the code failed. The code is not able to explain this new jargon, normal rate of wage. So what is normal rate of wage is not clearly expressed. We may take our individual interpretation on in coming days based on certain judgment if in future come across. Till the time any new understanding does not come to explain normal rate of wage, we are bound to follow the normal concept of ordinary rate of wage, which means the average wage of last 3 months that a person earned, which is again sum total of all the earning component as a wage. It is not limited to sum of basic plus DA only. Now, we have seen about the minimum wage and we have tried to understand the concept of minimum wage. We have tried to understand the overtime concept. We have tried to understand the how a department calculate minimum wage, different splitting concept of minimum wage. This all we have understand. Now let's look after the payment of wage chapter. The word itself, it speaks, it's related to payment. Means from employer pocket to employee pocket. The transfer of money is known as Payment of Wage Act. This is the simplest definition that I have learned from my senior. So the mechanism of this transfer of salary from employer pocket to employee pocket is being guided by this act. And similarly, this code had also absorbed subsumes that provision and spoke in the same manner. There are some new points which we will highlight, which I will highlight to you. Looking after section 15 of this act, of this code, it speaks that all the mode of payment shall be electronic. It cannot be in cash or in cash term. Either on check or electronic way, we have to make the payment. Means on any given scenario, neither an employee nor a worker who is covered under this code can receive money in cash nature. It must be either electronic transfer or through the check. Section 16 of this code speaks about the fixation of wage period. Means when company have to make the payment, it shall be either monthly, weekly, daily, but it cannot be beyond 1 month. Means an employee can receive his salary within the month. It cannot go beyond. Means I cannot make a quarter salary concept. I cannot make the alternate month salary concept. I cannot make half yearly salary concept. The code has put a bar over me and asked me to pay either monthly, weekly or daily wage salary. The another provision is section 17 of this code, which speak about the time limit for the payment. Means now we know that maximum of 1 month I will receive my salary. Means after every month I will receive my salary. But when I will receive? After 1 month means every month I will pay. So is it immediately next day? Or after 15 days or after 20 days? So here answer is within 7 working days, if I'm not wrong, I'm just forgetting. Okay. Within 7 working days, employer have to make the payment. Allow me to refer the act, please. and I'm not able to upload it. Just refer to that provision. You will understand that by when we have to make the payment. Earlier, in the Payment of Wage Act, there was a two different provisions. Provision number one, which speaks, suppose if you have 1,000 manpower in your company, you have to make a payment within 7 working days. Provision number two was that if you have more than 1,000 manpower in your company, then you have to make the payment within 10 working days. Sorry, 10 days, not even working days. 10 days means, or 7 days means, suppose the 7th day is Sunday, then you have to make on the 6th day, but it cannot cross the 7th day. Similarly, for the 10th day. Now, this difference has been removed in this current code. Full and final settlement. In industry, we practice 45 days full and final settlement, 35 days full and final settlement, 20 days, and so on. But the code has defined that FNF settlement cannot go beyond two days under section 17, subsection 2 of the code. And it is not that suppose somebody is manager, he will get after 45 days. Maybe he is a manager or a clerk. He is a peon or he is a CEO of the company. FNF settlement shall be done within 2 days as per the code. So goes those time that people will think, okay, I will resign and I will receive my salary after 45 days. No. So any of our client in coming days who are going to make standing order, we must advise that when you have to make the FNF settlement. Another provision is related to the unethical deductions. A company cannot deduct any amount from the employee as a terms of fine or any damage. It need to be justified and as per the provision prescribed in the Act. Let's look after the another chapter which this Act has subsumed, that is related to Payment of Bonus Act. The Payment of Bonus Act has been always a pain for all of us. I have seen in last 1 year in this company how we all face challenges regarding the calculation, understanding, eligibility, durations, and all. So this Act has kept the soul of Payment of Bonus Act as it is, with a very difference and a very good changes which they have introduced. The eligibility of this act is same, of this code is same for bonus, which was already expressed in section 2 subsection 13 of the Payment of Bonus Act. A person has to provide minimum 30 number of working days in his previous financial year. Means if somebody has to earn bonus today, he has to provide 30 days of working day attendance in the last financial year calendar. However, the code failed to define the ceiling amount, wage ceiling amount, which is currently expressed under the Payment of Bonus Act, that is 21,000 and below. The another provision which is been cut copy paste from the Payment of Bonus Act is the minimum and maximum contribution of bonus under section 10 and 11 of Payment of Bonus Act is same in this code also. Means minimum 8.33 shall be the percentage on which bonus must be calculated. Maximum it can go to 20%. In between also you can choose any number. Suppose I want to give 10% bonus. Yes, I can do that. I want to give 20% bonus. Yes, I can do that. But beyond 20%, the excess amount shall not be termed as a bonus. Another question comes regarding the return. That when we have to do the return. As a timeline, it is 1st of Feb. There is no such deviation prescribed as of now. But the questions comes when we have to make the payment of bonus. We know that who are eligible, minimum 30 days. How much shall we pay? Minimum 8.33 to 20%. But when we can do the payment? When I can pay bonus to my employee? In Principal Act, that is Payment of Bonus Act, it speaks within 8 months, I have to pay bonus. Similarly, that provision has been cut copy paste in this code also. But there is another provision which is provided a liberty to an employer on certain case when an employer failed to pay within 9 months, within 8 months. Suppose a company failed to pay bonus within 8 months, then the company have to put an application to the concerned authority in writing or through a mail stating that to whomsoever it may be concerned, this is to inform you that I am so and so company has failed to pay my bonus within 8 months. However, we do not have any intention not to make the payment. We are going to make payment by 9th month, 10th month, maximum to 2 years. If the authority accept, no penalty at all. If the justification provided by the company is not impressive for the authority, the consequences may occur. Sorry. Hello. Yeah, I'm on a seminar. I'm on workshop. In this slide, you may observe the computations of number of working days. From this, you can understand that who shall be deemed to be as in working, who shall, what are actual numbers to be counted as a bonus, what are not those numbers which need to be excluded. For example, the employee who has been on leave as a maternity, and for that they are receiving salary or a maternity for that particular accounting year, the employee shall get bonus for that also. Means even a maternity leave shall be counted as a normal working day. You're laid off, your any other kind of festival leave with wage, that will also be termed as a normal working days for the purpose of payment of bonus act. Sorry, for the purpose of this code. As I mentioned, the ceiling amount is not been provided in the code. The same shall be notified through the separate notification in coming days. Then we will be more clear to understand who are the eligible employee and worker under the Code on Wage 2019. The way we are knowing today that who all are the eligible employee under Payment of Bonus Act, which has been prescribed under Section 2, subsection 13, where employee is defined. One extra point which has been added under this payment of a bonus chapter of the code is for the purpose of disqualification from receiving the bonus, one or more condition of convention related to sexual harassment. So we can see that how the sexual harassment has been given the importance under this code. So suppose an employee or a worker been found guilty under this provision, his bonus can also get disqualified. Adding to that, even the gratuity can also get disqualified. And as I said, the code does not provide any wage limit or eligibility or the wage basic of calculation. Article 14, one of my favorite article in the Constitution of India. Already have tried to explain that what does Article 14 means. It means an expression not to be provoke or something which is related to against of discrimination. Nobody is allowed on the land of India to do any kind of act of discrimination by action or by any means. Similarly, the code has been very clearly expressed that company does not have any right to do any discrimination on the terms of nature of job, religions, or the gender. Male or female, if they are working equally, they must remunerate equally. If a person is working more than one class, they must remunerate according to their class of working as per the time they have put on their working. Now, suppose an employee who left a company, but due to certain reason, that employee failed to claim his FNF settlement or certain amount is still remaining with the company. Then by the virtue of Payment of Wage Act that employee was having, maximum up to 1 year with a certain explanation if that employee gave to go back and claim it. Under this code, this has been now prescribed and been extended to 3 years. At present, in Payment of Wage Act, it is only limited to 1 year. Beyond 1 year, the employee have to give an explanation to the department at why he forgot to claim his wage for last 1 year. But now for 3 years, the employee does not need to give any kind of explanation to the authority or the company. Means if any employee left the company, employer is bound to preserve his salary max up to 3 years or need to submit that amount to the local labor welfare department. The time limit which has been increased from 1 year to 3 years is just to protect the interests of worker and employee both. As I said earlier, payment of wage was only for those employees who were covering under Section 1, Subsection 6 of the Act, means who were earning wage less than 24,000. But by the applicability of this code, the right of an employee and worker both shall be saved. Both will become under a safe haven. Now, this is the slide which we all need to understand. This slide actually presents you the actual gravity of the code. If we fail, if we breach any provision of this code, then the penal provision of this code is very rigorous in nature. The offense under the code has been made more compoundable than the past, which we have observed under Payment of Wage Act, under Payment of Bonus Act, under Equal Remuneration Act, and under Payment of Wage Act. These are different 4 acts. If somehow, if any due of an employee is unpaid by an employer, means suppose I fail to pay wage to my employee, and within next 3 years after his apparent settlement or whatever things, he doesn't come back and claim it. That's a different scenario. But while working time, if I fail to pay my employee salary on time, the panel may reach to 50,000. I mean, that's a beginning benchmark. That's a beginning of the entire penalty. And on the repetition of similar kind of breach, or the repetition of similar kind of law provision which we break somehow, the provision of imprisonment shall go max to 5 years. And this may also include the penalty of 1 lakh rupees. And the number of violations an employer do, the more specific fines and penalty shall be imposed to that employer, that company. So, to look after and to understand the compliance complexity, the gravity of consequences must be clear for all of us. We must understand that a single breach can put a huge penalty and imprisonment on our client. In the month of July 7th, 2020, this code has also introduced a draft Code on Wage Rule 2020 or 2019, whatever. As we know, that code has subsumed 4 different acts, and this rule has subsumed 8 different rules. The list is in front of you, and that is still not finalized, means not been approved. The rule of code may go with further changes, but as of now, if we have to look after, this code has come with 3 important documents that we need to know as a compliance partner, being a compliance partner of a number of companies. Number 1 is the register of wage and overtime fine deduction for damage and loss. This one register will meet all the requirements of maintaining register. So Mari and team who all are present here, just to update you, in coming days, your workload is going to be very less. Instead of preparing n number of documents, these documents shall get limited to 1 or 2 numbers only. Another register which we need to know is an employee register. Means an employer need to maintain the record of all the employees who are, when they are joining, when they are resigning, what is their age, what is their pay, all those details as per the format. And the last one is the wage slip. Means anybody who is working, that what shall be the format that you can get it. All these forms and rules, I again repeat, is still under dialogue, is still under conversation. We have received a framework, but that is not yet approved. Government of India have given 45 days to us, to common citizen, to raise the concern if there is any issue, or to suggest to the government, to the ministry, that these are the changes we suggest as a common man. We can do that. Post that only it will get recognition. So my dear friends, I know I have taken a huge time of each and every one, but here I am open for the questions. Either you can put on the chat box, you can mail me, or you can call me on personal level also. I believe everybody is having my mail ID and contact number. So anybody want to ask?
So Rahul, I have one query.
Yes, do let me know.
Like as you said, this is like 45 days. Some time was given for this rules or like companies to submit any objection or suggestion for this. I believe that time is also over now. So is it like we are expecting these rules to be finalized and government may circulate any such notification about the implementation?
Your
And if so,
expectations.
expect.
So Faisal, thanks for raising this question. It's a very nice question. So your expectation is correct. Okay, but none of us are aware that did any individual have given any suggestion, any questions on any agency or any association have raised any question to the ministry or not. If it has been done in last 45 days, it may take more time. So in coming days, we may get information on that. As of now, there is no such circular have come. You are right. 45 days is over. Yes, it is over now. 45 days is over, but the final communication has not come across till now. So we are still waiting.
So in case like if client is asking like more of the clients are very curious about this 2 days FNF calculation, how we will do it and other relevant subject on that. So how to respond to client on this?
See, there is no different dialogue you will heard in the industry. We are bound to follow these norms. A 2-day FNF settlement need to be done for worker and employee both. How to do is a question mark because it's an operational thing. We have to decide it. I know many of the company who practice this on my personal ground, which I know they do this. But a big company who pay hefty, who have a different payroll cycle, they run through that payroll cycle and do this. But for them, that is a mechanism that they have to improve. So all those software which run payroll cycle and then HR used to pay it 45 days, that need to be removed. And this provision of 2 days shall be applicable no matter what rule is going to speak, because act has already spoken. Rule will just provide the more clear picture how and when or what is the process need to be do. For example, if FNF is done, that the rule will come and speak that if you are going to make any FNF in a year, provide a return on that. It can be happen. So we have to wait for the rules, complete communication or confirmation of the rules, what is going to be speak. But please be assured, there is no second thought. The provision of 2-day FNF is fixed. Employer have to do that.
Okay, one more question is like this act may be called like central act. So is it, are we expecting rules also central or state wise? Like in the initial slides you mentioned, there may be chances that state may notify about the minimum wages considering the floor wages and all. So can we expect rules also state wise or it has to be also like centrally?
Faisal, labor law is the only provision in our country which is run by the two different states. One is central state and another one is the state itself. Okay, means two different body. One is central and one is state. So looking after all those things, these both creatures will play their role, and yes, there may be we can observe a separate code rules by the state if they accept it. As of now, the rule which we look after, which we refer, the rule has purely prescribed whatever they have spoken. They spoken about the central establishment only. So currently, state provisions are quite silent.
Okay, thanks Rahul. Thanks for the clarification.
Pleasure, Fazil. Anyone else?
Rahul.
Nothing, Raghu. So very that the code, so notification, file and notification. So then only we need to show how we will take it forward, how we need to give the returns and register. So how we need to punctual, so how we need to process that part. Once release the final notification, then only will come to know. So really good section, Rahul, for this part.
Thank you. Now first of all, thank you, Mari, for your appreciation. Okay. We all are doing that efforts to make sure that we all must be up to mark, not completely, at least partially. We must be aware that what is happening, okay, and what is the future of law, how we are moving ahead. So, pertaining to your, yeah, Anil, I'm coming back to, coming to you. So, pertaining to your words, I just want to say yes, we have to wait for the final recognition from the department, from the ministry. Once it is there, we will be working on the action plans that how we have to deal with this. Okay, but as of now, there is no return actually.
Right.
Means a separate return, but for okay, understood. Yeah.
Rahul, is there any interest or penalty has been mentioned in this code? If being employer, I'm not able to pay wages to the employee on time, and I'm paying it to my employee 1 month after or 2 or 3 months after.
Yes, and the panel is 50,000 rupees.
No. My concept penalty is 50,000. That will be that will be the revenue of indirect revenue of government only.
Absolutely.
If I'm saying employee, if I'm employee, I'm getting salary. I was supposed to get salary before 1st or 7th only, but I'm getting salary 3 months or 4 months later. So will my employer will give me that interest or not?
See, the law is silent on this point, but looking after the different judgment which we have seen in the past, I believe you may have also went across such kind of judgment where we have observed that an employer fails to pay employee on time and making delay like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. He need to bear the pain of that failure. He need to pay those interest as per the minimum standard National Bank rate. So such kind of provisions are there. So in case if any employer fails to make such payment on time, employee can raise his concern to the labor department and can ask for wage plus the compensation of delay.
So by default, it is not mentioned in this weight code, correct?
Act is silent. Act is silent on this. The compensation on delay benefited to the employee. On that, it is silent.
Thanks.
Maybe in the rule we may observe something. Thank you, Adil.
Rahul, thanks for your presentation in details. I just have a query. If you are paying bonus to your eligible employees, but there may be management employees whose salary is on the higher side, you will be paying ex gratia. So how to account this ex gratia under compliance, and what will be the record need to be maintained? Is there any provision that is followed for ex gratia payment?
Okay. Now see, if we go after the Principal Act, Payment of Bonus Act. Okay. Yeah, Anil?
No, I did not say anything.
No, okay, just hold on. Kunalji. Now looking after the provision of paying bonus. The payment of bonus has always spoken about that what is bonus and what we have to make the payment. That is purely about the actual bonus to those employees who are eligible. Now paying bonus who are not eligible by law, means who are earning more than 21,000, but still they are receiving bonus within the bracket of section 10 and section 11, that will come as a bonus. However, in case of excess amount, the ex gratia, that will not be covered under this provision. That need to be dealt separately, then books of accounts is separate. For further elucidation on this point, I will give you my write-up on that. The computation and the dealing of expressure, that's a separate things and a separate process. So I will give you separately on that. And probably I can share to my team members also.
Absolutely
I
fine.
believe, but I believe you are clear on this point that the payment of bonus act and the returns only speak for that particular amount which is earned by them within that bracket. Means section 10 and section 11, minimum 8.33% to maximum 20%. If employer is paying 40%, means above the ceiling, that shall not be termed as a bonus.
Fine, Rahul. Go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, Rahul, 6 o'clock in a team meeting is there, so we can so finance.
Sure.
So I think
Any more questions will be adjourned.
it's good. See, once
Thank you.
finally we'll receive the final notification, then only we'll come to know how we need to proceed for the further.
Yeah, sure, Mari. We will do further more work on that. Once it is come, we will discuss on the documentation parts and the returns, which will become applicable. As of now, this session was to understand the act.
Yes,
So I believe you all understand the act. We will go back, do some homework, read those act. Everybody will understand more. Any question, come to me. There are other colleagues who can also address you, can explain you. Okay, we are open to discuss. And on the documentation part, Mari, we must wait till the time it's come.
Okay, thank you very much, Rahul.
Rahul, thank you. However, I would request if you can share this PPT with us also for reference purpose.
Yes, it is sent to entire team, Rahul. Okay, thank you.
I'm taking a common folder, all my presentation, whichever I'm giving, all the research material which I am doing, I used to preserve in that. That is already shared with my colleague Kodaraman, Mayur, and many of them. Okay. I'm trying to introduce you all. Also, you can take the benefit of those folders.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, bye.
Thank you. Bye. Have a great weekend. Bye. Thank you, everybody.
Bye, Rahul. Thank you.